Welcome back to the Knitting Expat Podcast channel. My name is Mina, I'll be your host today. Today is Thursday the 4th of July, so happy Independence Day to those in the US who celebrate. And yeah, thank you for joining me today. If you are new, thank you for checking me out. I hope you enjoy this podcast. I've lost track of what number we're at. I think it's 140 and episode number I mean. And yeah, if you are a returning viewer, thank you so much for coming back. I really appreciate you guys taking the time to come out and hang out with me. Sorry, I am having one of those days when it comes to words and putting things together in a cohesive sentence. I just filmed a Tour de Fleece video that's going to go up on Saturday the 6th, which is the first day of Tour de Fleece. And I seriously feel like I just stumbled my way through the first 10 minutes of that video, so I don't really understand what was going on with me. Anyway, I am back again today without show notes, so we shall see how this goes. But yeah, some admin first to start off with. First things first, I just released a new shawl. This is the trellis shawl. As you can see, it's a little bit crumpled up, so apologies for the wrinkles and it not looking as pristine as it once did. This was finished quite a while ago actually. And this was one of the secret things I was knitting that I wasn't able to share with you guys because it was a collaboration with Sam from Lavender Loom Yarn Company and Rachel from 6 and 7 Fibers. And so Sam has been running what she calls the indie project, throughout 2019, where each month she collaborates with another indie designer to come up with coordinated colorways essentially. So she picks a photo or a picture of something as the inspiration, and both dyers will go away and dye a colorway based on that photo inspiration. And it's surprising to see how well the colours coordinate, even though the dyers don't collaborate in terms of what colours they're going to do. They just have this one photo that they're both going off of. So for this one, Sam Lavender Loom dyed the blue colourway, and the paler, more speckled colour was dyed by Rachel of 6 and 7 Fiber, and they just work so well together. And this pattern here is created using a type of mosaic knitting and some cables, really simple cables. You don't even need to use a cable needle. I did not use a single cable needle throughout this. It's really simple, and it's just a really effective way to get that blue yarn to just like pop against that lighter coloured yarn in the background. So this is the trellis shawl, like I mentioned. You can purchase it now in my Ravelry Shop. I will have a link down to it below. Link to it down below. There we go, words. And you can get it for 25% off until the end of the day on Saturday the 6th of July using the code TRELLIS, all capitals. If I remember, it will be up on the screen for you here. If not, I will have it down in the notes below this video, which is also where you can find the show notes for this video. I am sat here, I have not written up my show notes before sitting down, so we shall see how disjointed this episode ends up being. But all that to say, you can find the link to this pattern and the code will be in the description box, especially if I forget to put it up on the screen. Then the other pattern that I have released this week, which isn't for general purchase yet, it is only as part of the Minilicious Pattern Club, are the marvellous mini mitts. So this was also made with yarn dyed by Sam of Lavender Loom. This just happened to end up this way. It was not planned to be like this, but I showed you, I think on the last episode, I showed you the minis that I used for this one to sort of explain the colours and what sort of yarn you would need for it. So these are the mitts, the marvellous mini mitts. Get up close so you can see the pattern on there a bit better. So it's all knit using fisherman's rib, which gives you the same, which is essentially brioche. It basically looks exactly the same, you can't even tell the difference. And then along down the back you have this really fun cabled pattern, which is similar to the cables in the whale song cowl as well. And there is a tutorial linked in the pattern for this, for how to work those cables if you are new to it and you haven't done it before, or it seems a bit intimidating. And as you can see, I used a main colour, which is like this which is called Raw Honey by Lavender Loom, as the main colour, which is on the outside of the mitts. and the contrast colours are the minis, which are in the background, or they are the dominant colours on the wrong side of the mitts. I chose to do it this way around. You can obviously choose to have it the other way around. If you want the minis to be the dominant colour, you can have those to be on the right side if that's what you would like. And yeah, I ended up using 5 different minis in the mitts, and to be honest, like, it used very minimal amount of yarn. I think altogether the two mitts together, I think they weighed around like 60 grams or something, and I did the medium size, and I knit quite long cuffs because I've got like quite long cuffs on my mitts so they can tuck into my coat or whatever in the winter. And I think I used less than 10 grams of each of the mini skein colours over both mitts, and I used probably around 30-40 grams of the main colour again over both mitts. So really good scrappy project to use leftovers with if you didn't have mini sets. This is a great one for leftovers. Uses fingering weight yarn. I actually use a sport weight for the main colour and fingering weight for the background colour. Very adaptable in that sense, and yeah, I really like how these have turned out, and can't wait to wear them this winter and autumn actually as well. So yeah, marvellous mini mitts. These are only available at the moment as part of the Mini Delicious Pattern Club, which you can still join. There is still a discount on that. You don't need a code, it's automatically there, and they will be available for individual purchase come the 24th of September. And the other patterns in the club are the porthole cowl and the rainbow wings shawl as well. So there's a lot of bright, fun colours going on in this club. There's one more pattern left in the club, which I'm actually currently knitting up. It took me a while to finally settle on the design for that one because I really love the yarn, and I'm absolutely ecstatic with how that design is turning out, to be quite honest. I'm really loving it. And okay, I will fold this up later. And the final design that I wanted to share with you, and I showed this on the last podcast as well, is this one. I have now settled on a name for it. I'm calling it the Harmony Shawl, and because I think each section works very harmoniously with the others, and it's just so much fun. I really love this shawl. And this, I decided, I was planning on publishing it last week. I had major technical issues with my computer. I basically couldn't use it for about a week. Thankfully my husband was able to fix it, or at least get it working again. I'm not sure if it's completely fixed, but it's working for now, which is fine. And so I was supposed to release this last week, but then I ended up having to release the Marvellous Mini Mitts and the Trellis Shawl on the same day, just because I'd missed both deadlines that I'd set for myself to publish them, and I wanted to get them out. So this one has been pushed back a little bit now, and I'm actually going to release this on Saturday, the 6th of July, to coincide with the start of Tour de Fleece. I just thought it'd be a really fun way to start that off, and this pattern will be available with a 25% discount code of TDF19, all capitals, and 19 is the numbers 1 and 9. Again, I will pop it up on screen. Because this pattern isn't released yet, I can't link it below this video, but there again, if I remember after I've released the pattern, I will come back and link it under the video, but I will have a link to my Ravelry shop, and I will also put the code below for this shawl as well. So if you are watching this after the 6th, you can find a link to my shop where you can find the shawl, and the code will be valid for about 5 days, I guess. Usually that's how long I put the codes up for about 5 days. And yeah, so you can grab this shawl as well. I wanted to show it to you now because I am going to publish it in the next few days, and I'm not entirely sure when I'm going to have a chance to sit down and film another podcast, and it will be long after this has been released, and I wanted to let you guys know about the discount code. So that's the Harmony shawl, and I think we're finally done with admin. Sorry, I know that was quite a long one, but I had a few things I wanted to share with you guys. So moving on, I have a fair few finished objects actually to share with you. I have 3 finished objects for knitting, which it's been a while since I've had this much to share with you guys. So the first finished object is the Sweet Pea Dress that I knit for Layla. I knit the 3 to 4 year size because, I mean, at the moment she wears a lot of 3 year size clothes already and she's not even 2.5. So I wanted to knit her a size that was going to last her for a couple of years. So picked the 3 to 4 year size. Although saying that, she wore a 18-month size dress this morning to go to nursery, so who knows with kids, right? And as I was knitting it, I thought, it's looking really big. It was looking really wide around here, and I mean, to be honest, that is still quite wide. I just about managed to get her to try it on once after I'd finished it. She doesn't want to wear it. So I don't know what that says. It's her favourite colour, she loves the colour, but every time I've asked her if she wants to wear this dress, she's just like, no. She doesn't even touch it, like she hasn't touched it to be like, oh no, it's too scratchy or whatever. And I don't think it is, it's definitely softened up a bit after washing. But I don't know, so far she has not wanted to wear it. So I will keep trying and hopefully one day she will wear this and I will be able to get a photo of her wearing it. Like I said, it will last her for a couple of summers, so even if she doesn't necessarily wear it this year, she'll be able to wear it next year. And I knit it nice and long, and I sort of measured it against one of her other dresses lengthwise, and I'm sure it will grow under its own weight. I ended up using just under 4 balls of yarn. I think it ended up being about 150 grams in total. No, more than that, about 175 grams or something, can't remember now, in total for this dress. So it was fairly cost effective using Knit Picks Lindy Chain in the Hollyberry Colourway. And Lindy Chain is quite an affordable yarn for like a cotton linen blend. That's quite nice. It's a chainette yarn as well. It was an interesting experience knitting with it because I found, because I tend to knit with sharp needles, I was sort of like splitting the yarn sometimes, but it wasn't that bad, realistically. And it's quite affordable. Knit Picks have sales quite often, and the Lindy Chain yarn can be on sale for as little as £2 a ball for 50 grams, so pretty good deal if you can get it on sale. The other finished object I have is a cute little garden gnome hoodie, and I should have said the Sweet Pea Dress is one of my designs. Actually, both of these are my designs. So again, if I remember, I will link it below, but there's always a link to my Ravelry shop where you can find the Sweet Pea Dress. And this is the garden gnome hoodie, which I have knit for a friend of mine who's having a baby at the end of September. And I actually knit the 6 to 12 month size because I feel like with baby knits it's always better to have something a little bit too big than too small, because then you can roll up the sleeves, and if it's a little bit baggy, not a big deal, and you never know how big the baby's going to be when it's born. Anyway, so, and my knitting patterns tend to come up a little bit on the bigger side for children's clothes because I feel like kids grow so quickly. So I use yarn from my friend Caroline, who used to dye yarn as Zazu Yarns. Now she just dyes for fun as and when, so she doesn't sell her yarn anymore. But this yarn is fingering weight, and I held it double, and I think this used about 150 grams, so definitely needed a second skein. And it's got a really fun hood with a little point on it, hence the gnome name. And the body of the sweater has this really fun texture pattern, and the sleeves are in stockinette. And it's got a fun little twisted rib edging on the hood and on the cuffs and hem. I'm actually thinking of doing an adult size version of this sweater without the hood, but with a sort of like a little collar instead. So it's still got this little open bit at the front, and then it extends and it just becomes like a little fold over collar instead of a hood, because I feel like hoods in adult garments, especially with the yarn, it can get quite heavy, and I'm not sure how practical a knitted hood is for adults. I get it's really practical with kids, because sometimes it's really hard to get kids to keep hats on their heads, but a hood that is attached to their sweater will stay on their head, and if it falls off they're not going to lose the hat. So it's quite practical with kids, I feel. I mean, from my personal experience with Layla, I found that hoods can be a little bit easier to keep on her head than hats sometimes. So yeah, but I think for an adult it might be just more cumbersome than helpful. That's what I'm thinking of, doing an adult version but without the hood element to it. But yeah, so that will be for some point down the line in the future when I get around to it. But I really love how this has turned out. It's so cute, and now I just have to wrap it up for my friend. It's her baby shower on Saturday, so that's that. The last thing that I finished are these socks. These are just some vanilla socks out of Mad Fuzzy yarn that's 100% made and dyed in Maine in the US, and this was in her Gypsy Queen colourway. Again, a lot more pink than I would normally go for, but I just thought it was quite fun. And it's really interesting how one sock flashed and pulled so crazy while the other one was like perfectly variegated. From the same skein, I balled it up into two balls, two 50-gram balls, and knit them 2 at a time. One completely flashed and the other one completely didn't. Same number of stitches, same gauge, everything's the same, just for some reason one turned out that way and the other one didn't. The quirks of knitting. But yeah, so this is on her, it's on her sock base. So it's 80% East Frisian wool and 20% Firestar, which is a kind of nylon. It's like a sparkly nylon. So it's got quite a sheen to it, and it's definitely on the rustic side of things. These are probably just gonna be socks for myself because I believe it's non-superwash, so I don't really want to put that on anyone else. But yeah, I'm really interested to see how these wear. These feel like they're gonna wear really, really well. They're not gonna pill. I mean, I don't know. I'm assuming based on just how they feel and how they worked up. But yes, that's really exciting. Finally got another pair of socks off the needles. I am woefully behind. I say behind, not that I have a target, but in terms of compared to where I was the last year, with how many socks I've knit in the year compared to now. Like, I've knit nowhere near as many socks this year as I had in past years, probably because spinning has taken over. But that is not a bad thing. I've had quite a few comments recently on my videos with people saying things like, oh, like, you do so much more spinning now, there's not as much knitting anymore, and blah blah blah. And I'm like, yeah, because spinning is still very new for me, and it's still like this new thing that I found that I'm super excited about. Not that I'm not excited about my knitting, but you know what it's like when you get something that's new and shiny and you're just like, that's all you want to like look at and play with. And that's, I guess that's kind of my personality anyway. But you know, it's not like I'm not knitting, it's just I'm very inspired with my spinning right now. So yeah, there is a lot of spinning chat because that's what I'm doing a lot of right now. But there will be phases, and you know, things ebb and flow, but I think spinning is definitely here to stay. I forgot to mention this at the beginning, but I will have timestamps at the beginning of the spinning section to where you can skip to get to the end of the spinning section if you're not interested in the spinning content, and I will also try and remember to include that information in the description box below as well. I had quite a few people comment to say, because I asked last time if you guys would prefer I split the spinning into a separate podcast or keep it all together. The majority said keep it together but put a timestamp for those who want to skip. So I think that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to start putting timestamps at the beginning of the spinning section so you know where to skip ahead to if you don't want to watch the spinning. So yeah, that's my last finished object, and I don't think I mentioned it, but I knit all my socks on 2.25mm needles. I use a German short row heel and mini heel flap adjustment, which are my own design, and I do them in garter. So you can find the tutorial, the information for how to do this, and a tutorial for the heel in my Mina's vanilla sock recipe, which is a paid for pattern. I also have a free vanilla sock pattern called Mina's 2 at a time socks, or how to knit 2 at a time socks. I can't remember what I called it now, but that's a free sock pattern for vanilla socks 2 at a time if you didn't want the paid for version. The only reason the other one is paid for is because of the heel information, because that is something I came up with on my own. I put a lot of work and effort into it, and I feel like it is worth something. But having said that, you do get that heel pattern with any of my other like patterned socks that you purchase. So if you purchase one of those, you already have that heel pattern. You don't need to buy the vanilla one separately. I feel again like I just waffled on that for no reason. Okay, so that's done. Those are all the finished objects. We are now ready to move on to works in progress. So I have two works in progress and one needle adjacent that I can share with you. I have one other project on the needles which I can't share with you because that's the last pattern for the Minilicious Pattern Club that I am so excited about. Sorry, I just kicked the tripod. But anyway, let's crack on with what I have to show you. So in this bag is the sweater that I'm knitting for Perry. This is what I'm currently calling Perry's Gansey, but it's not, that's probably not what it's going to be called at the end. This is a Gansey inspired sweater for my husband. If you don't know, my husband is actually from the island of Guernsey in the Channel Island, which is where Ganseys come from, and he was born there and lived there for the first part of his life, and I've always wanted to knit him a Gansey inspired pullover. This is not a Gansey in the traditional sort of construction sense, it's just inspired. And yeah, so this is where we are at. Last time I showed you the body was finished. The body is still finished, thankfully, and I've picked up and I've worked the first sleeve cap for the first sleeve. I ended up deciding to do a full seed stitch sleeve with just a panel of the cables running down the middle. I think that's going to look the nicest. I was going to do just a panel with the cable and some seed stitch and the rest in stockinette, but I feel like that just wouldn't work with the rest of the sweater as a whole, because the rest of the sweater is all seed stitch with the cables. There's no stockinette anywhere else on this sweater, so it didn't make sense to start putting stockinette on the sleeves. So yeah, that's where I'm at. I need to make some progress on this sleeve. Once I get the first sleeve done, then I can get a good estimate on the yardage that I've used, and I can then extrapolate that for the rest of the sizes, and then it'll be ready for test knitting. The pattern is graded, it has been tech edited, and it is ready to go. I just don't know the yardage requirements for the larger sizes or the smaller sizes, for any sizes, other than even the one I'm currently knitting because I haven't finished it yet. So I don't want to send it out to test knitters without being able to tell them how much yarn they're going to need to be able to knit the different sizes. So I'm knitting this out of a sport weight, and yeah, it is out of Layla Pinwheel yarn on her Guernsey sport base, which is an 85% non-superwash merino and 15% silk. So it's really lovely. It has a nice sort of subtle sheen to it. It's not shiny, but it's got a nice sheen to it, and it just has a really lovely handle when you knit with it as well. It's really nice round plump yarn, great for cables, and I'm loving it. So I am hoping to get this finished ASAP, at least the first sleeve. I just need to get that first sleeve done, and then I can get the pattern sent out for test knitting. I'm hoping to get the first sleeve done by the end of next week if possible. And yeah, the other pattern that I have ready to go for test knitting, which I need to send that email out to testers today to see who's interested in doing it, is for the Yorkville pullover. That's all ready to go now, and I just need to crack on with it. I have so many sweaters coming out later this year. These are just two of them, just this one and Yorkville, the first two to be coming out later this year, probably sometime in September, October for this one, more likely, because I want to give testers as much time as possible, and September for Yorkville. But I'm so excited about them. And the other project I have on the go, I mean, I think I would have had more progress on this sleeve if I wasn't knitting this for my friend's baby shower. Because her baby shower's this weekend, this kind of took a little bit of precedence because I wanted to have it finished. And the other thing I'm knitting is for my other friend who's pregnant, and she's not due until early December, so I'm actually not sure when her baby shower is yet. I don't think we've set a date, but so I decided to just cast on and get this started for her as well. So this is a double Dutch cardigan, another one of my designs. I just love my baby designs, so whenever someone I know is having a baby, I'm just like, okay, let me knit you one of these things. They're so cute. And this is in the 0 to 6 month size because her baby is being born in the depths of winter. So so yeah, it's a really cute little v-neck cardigan with a cable down the back and cables down the front sides as well. I'll have a link to this pattern in the show notes below as well if I remember. But really cute. I'm just onto the body now. This is such a quick knit, and I'm using Into the World yarn on the Pikoku DK base in the Mildly Amusing colourway. So the next project that I have, which is not actually cast on yet, but it's needle adjacent, is another pair of socks. So this is some self-striping sock yarn by, I'm gonna pronounce this incorrectly again. You guys were so great at correcting my pronunciation last time when I tried to pronounce this dyer's name. Sinak yarns. It means fox in Irish apparently, or little fox, I can't remember. There we go. and this is some self-striping yarn that she has dyed using natural dyes only, and this one was done with indigo, which is just amazing. I mean, self-striping yarn is difficult enough as it is, let alone with natural dyes. So I'm going to be casting these on at some point today, because tonight my husband and I are going to the cinema to see the new Spider-Man film, so I have to have some socks on the go. I was saying to him last night, are we definitely going to the cinema tomorrow? Because I need to know, because if we are, I need to get socks going, because I don't have any socks on the needles, and I can't go to the cinema if I don't have any socks on the needles. It's just impossible. So that's it for works in progress. And next up we are going to have the spinning segment. So this is where the spinning segment starts. If you are not interested, I will have a time popped up on the screen now, hopefully, where you can skip to and join us back after the spinning segment is finished. Alright, so let's jump into the spinning. I didn't think I was going to have a lot to talk to you guys about today, but it turns out I actually have a reasonable amount of spinning, although one of them is a rollover from last week. Anyway, so let me just get these sorted. Okay, so first up, this was yarn I showed you last time. This was yarn that I've added to it now. So this was the other set of rolags that I had spun up. These are in the daffodil sort of colourway set. And I chain plied these as well, so these were both self-striping. I've already uploaded a separate video about how I spun these, and where I talk a little bit, where I talk more about my plans for these yarns. I'm actually going to be doing a knit with me sort of video. I'm not sure if it's going to be a series or just a standalone video where I go through casting on a project, working on the project, finishing the project, any sort of techniques that I come across. It's a fairly simple project, so it's not going to be too complicated, but it's going to be kind of like a little knit with me thing. I've had requests for that in the past, so I thought I would do one with this and show you what it's like to knit with handspun as well. So that will be coming later this year, probably August or September, we will see. And then other things that I've worked on some little sampling stuff, just some bits and pieces. I created some rolags with Layla the other day. I had her help me make some rolags just to have some fun and play around while we were at home one afternoon, and then I spun them up, and that's what these turned into. Oh, that's what those turned into. I did some more sampling and playing around with core spinning. I'm still struggling a lot with core spinning. I feel like I get too much twist into the yarn before I'm able to get it onto the wheel, and I'm not at a point where I am like interested enough in the result of core spinning to really like be determined to master the technique, if that makes sense. I feel like I actually enjoy the results of spiral plying a lot more than core spinning. So I think I'm going to leave that for a while. I might come back to core spinning at some point in the future, but for right now, I feel like I've gotten to a point where I'm like, okay, I understand how it works. I'm just not particularly interested in doing more of it right now. So I'll probably come back to it at some point in the future. Then the next thing that I spun is a loop bump rather. So these are called Loop calls them bullseye bumps, and so Loop is a company, loopfiberstudio.com, and is run by the lovely lady called Stephanie, and Steph is really sweet. She and I get along really well, and whenever I've had a chance to catch up with her at a fiber show, it's been really lovely. And so this is one of her bullseye bumps, which is basically I don't know how to say it. It's like a little roll of roving, and it's a little strip of roving that is like just like twisted into a roll, and it's like a center pull, so you can just pull from the middle and the roving just comes out and you spin straight from it. It is so easy to spin from. It is so beautiful to spin with, and this was a 100% merino 5.2 ounce bump of fiber. So it was about 145 grams in the end. Once I finished, I got 389 yards or 356 meters. It's a chain ply, and I got about a DK weight, and I'm so excited by this. This was the black orchid color, and it's a gradient, if you couldn't tell. Sometimes it's hard to tell when it's skeined up, but it is a gradient, and I absolutely love it. I don't know what it's going to be yet, but it's just going to sit and marinate in my stash for a while until I decide what it will become. I really loved spinning it. It was so much fun, and yeah, I'm glad I held on to it and I waited until I was a little bit more experienced with spinning before I sat down to spin these bumps. I have another one in my stash which I will be spinning up at some point as well, but it was definitely one of those things in my stash that I was a bit precious about, not because I didn't want to spin it, but because I didn't want to ruin it. And I'm glad in this instance that I waited until I was a bit more confident before sitting down to spinning it. I've always been a proponent of you should spin and make and do things with good supplies, because if you do it with as good a supply as you can afford, I should say, if you do it with crappy supplies, then you're more likely to be discouraged if things go wrong. But if you do it with good supplies, and in this case of spinning with well prepped fibre, then you will have a much easier time learning. Then when you come across slightly less well prepared fibre, you will know how to handle it, if that makes sense. Whereas if you started as a complete newbie with like poorly prepared fibre that might be slightly felted from dyeing or whatever, you could be put off from spinning altogether because you just find it so difficult to do. So I understand the concept of, and I agree with the concept of working with good quality materials, as good a quality materials as you can afford to get when you're first learning. But there are some things that are just too precious to mess around with and to use as practice. And in my opinion, these loop bullseye bumps are definitely one of those that are worth saving until you're confident to spin them. For me, that's just my opinion. Other people may have other opinions on that. Another thing that I spun up recently, and this hasn't been set yet, I haven't washed it to set the twist, but this was a bat that I purchased from Fine Fish Yarns, and she is based out of Ireland. This is a one-of-a-kind bat. It's Merino, Corriedale, Firestyle and Angelina, and I think there was also some flax in there or some other kind of plant fibre, because there's definitely something in there that was not either of those fibres that are listed. But again, this is just really fun. It's more purple than it's showing up on screen. On screen it's looking a bit more pink, but it's definitely got a lot of purples and fuchsias and some pops of yellow and whites, and there's some red and burgundy and some blue Angelina in there. It's just beautiful and really just bright and happy sort of skein. This I ended up with, let me check my notes now. So this is pre-washing. Okay, yeah, pre-washing, there's 101 grams. I got 240 yards or 220 meters, so pretty much spot on for a DK weight. It looks a little bit thinner than a DK weight at the moment, but I have a feeling this is one of those skeins that's going to puff up a bit once I wash it. So yeah, really interested to see what my final yardage is going to be. And then the last thing that I have spun, and I wanted to get this, clear this off my spinning wheel before Tour de Fleece starts on Saturday, is a 100 gram top. It's actually less than 100 grams, but a top that I purchased from Weft Blown in Edinburgh Yarn Festival. It is a merino silk blend 80/20 in the Storm colourway, and this is how that has turned out. You can see I have two little skeins here. So this was the main skein that I two-plied, so I split the top in half. I'm sorry if you can hear some banging. Our upstairs neighbours are renovating, so I was hoping to be able to finish this before the noise started, but apparently not. So that's how this has turned out. It is absolutely beautiful. I really love it, and it's definitely the finest, well, thinnest yarn I've been able to spin in a while. This ended up being 85 grams, and I got 316 yards or 289 meters, so it's actually quite a dense yarn. So the grist is quite dense, I guess. It's not as lofty, and yeah, I really like how it turned out. And then with the leftovers, because there was actually quite a sizable amount of leftover on the bobbin, I didn't want to do an Andean plying bracelet. I just didn't have the mood. I wasn't in the mood for it, so I ended up doing a chain ply with the rest. And then there's a little, this is 11 grams in this chain ply, and yeah, I wanted to see what sort of thickness it would come up with as a chain ply. Get this to focus. Yeah, So I wanted to see what the thickness would be like in a chain ply. I'm quite happy with that. I feel like this would be quite a good weight for socks. It would definitely be thicker than your traditional fingering weight, but I still think it would work really well for socks. It'd be like a sport weight sock. I think that'd be quite fun. So definitely getting closer to being able to spin for a pair of socks for myself, which I think is quite exciting. And yeah, so that's the last thing that I've spun. I probably won't spin anything else between now and the start of Tour de Fleece. So yeah, anyway, and with that we are at the end of the spinning segment. So back now, I had to change the battery in the camera. Back now with acquisitions, and I only have one thing to show you. I did have some other acquisitions come in, but they were all fibre related, and so I have put those into the Tour de Fleece video that will be going up on Saturday. So the only acquisition I have to share with you is this book. This is a new spin on colour by Alana Wilcox. Apologies for the noise upstairs. I cannot put off recording this video until later because I just don't have the time for that today. So I'm really sorry. I really hope the banging isn't too loud. But anyway, so I have this book by Alana Wilcox, A New Spin on Colour. I told you last time that I had purchased the ebook copy of this, but that Alana was really kind and sent me a hard copy to review as well. So I will be doing a review of this book and the yarn texture book at some point in the future. I've read this book now cover to cover, and it's full of really good information, has lots of really fun ideas, and there's definitely some ideas in here that I want to try out with my spinning as well. So so yeah, really excited to give this a go. I'm working my way through the yarn texture book as well. So once I have read a bit more of that, I think I will sit down and do a bit of a flip through / review of both books. And Alana Wilcox has been really kind and also offered a copy of this book in ebook format for a prize in the spin and make along, so that's really exciting as well. In other news, we have several knit alongs and spin alongs going on in the group right now. Like I mentioned, we have the spin and make along going on right now in the group. That is running until the end of November. The idea is to be a little bit more intentional with your spinning and to spin something with the idea of using it for a specific project at the end. And then making that project as well, if possible, whether it's a knitting project, crochet project, weaving project, whatever project. And so that's going on right now. And like I said, there'll be links to that down below. We also have the Minilicious Pattern Club knit along going on as well, which the latest pattern has just been released earlier this week. So again, you can check out threads for that down below. And I think those are the only two knit alongs currently. So those are the only two alongs currently going on in the group. Oh, sorry, no, we also have the sweater knit along. That's just a general sweater knit along. There is no like hard and fast rules, just knit a sweater, whatever sweater you would like. You can enter that into the threads there. And if you knit one of my designs, then you get 2 entries into the finished object thread as well. And that's going until the end of November as well, I believe, or sometime towards the end of this year, at which point I will draw prizes. And yes, I think that's it for knit along giveaway news. In terms of other news, there's been a lot going on in terms of just general life stuff. Weather has been amazing the last couple of weeks. It's been so nice. Since the last time I spoke to you, Jacqueline came over with her sister and stayed with us. I didn't actually end up vlogging any time whilst they were here, but I know Jacqueline took a lot of footage for a vlog, so hopefully she'll be posting that at some point. And I mean, I'm assuming she will be at some point. So that's Jacqueline from Brooklyn Knit Folk. And yeah, so it was really lovely to have her over and to finally meet her sister as well. And it was just really fun to hang out with them for a few days whilst they were staying here. And then what else have we been doing? Last weekend was so hot. It was so hot. We ended up on Friday, I ended up taking Layla to a trampoline park. We went jumping, and then we went round to Perry's parents' house, where Perry's sister also came over with Josh, her little boy, so Layla's cousin. He doesn't go to nursery on Fridays either, so we tend to try and coordinate doing stuff on Fridays if we can, so the kids can hang out and they ended up just playing in the garden at Perry's mum's, splashing around in a paddling pool, and it was just really cute. And I actually did a vlog that day, so that is also up on the channel. And then over the weekend we had a barbecue around a friend's house. We went out for breakfast one day, and then what did we do on the Sunday? I know we did something on Sunday. Oh, this is really, really bad now. I can't remember. What did we do? Oh yeah, and then on Sunday we went to a park with some friends for a picnic, which was really, really sweet, really lovely. It was just really nice to spend essentially 3 days outdoors, in the shade as much as possible, but outdoors and doing stuff, and it was just really nice. And I recently found a blog where someone had listed like 50 things to do around our area in the summertime, so I have lots of really fun ideas of things to do with Layla over the weekends and on the days that she's at home with me, so I'm really excited. This weekend, like I mentioned, actually I don't know if I mentioned in this video, but we're going up to London this weekend. So actually tomorrow, on Friday, I am going down to the beach with Layla and one of Layla's friends from nursery and her mum. So we're going to go down to, it's Layla's nursery best friend is how we refer to her, or Layla's nursery bestie. They're basically best friends. They are so sweet together. It is hilarious. It's the only way I get Layla out the door in the mornings, is to tell her she's going to go play with her friend at nursery, and she's just like, yeah, okay, let's go. Yeah, so we're going to go down to the beach together tomorrow, which will be really fun. I've not actually taken Layla to the beach, like a proper beach with sand, before. We went down to the beach in Brighton and the beach in Hastings, and both of those have stone beaches. So this will be the first time we're going to the beach in like proper summertime, when the weather's nice enough to go maybe splash around in the water a little bit as well. So that'll be exciting. And then on Saturday we're heading up to London, to my parents' place, and then from there I'm going to my friend's baby shower, and Layla's coming with me. She's also invited. And then on Sunday, my cousin is actually over with her daughter from Seattle this weekend. So on Sunday we're going to go do some touristy stuff around London with them, and yeah, just sort of hang out with my family for a bit, and then head back on Monday. And then I think next weekend, we currently don't have much on next weekend, the following weekend I mean. So I think we're going to plan some things to do around our local area, from some of the ideas that I found, and yeah, just really looking forward to enjoying some summer weather and doing more outdoorsy things with Layla, because she just loves spending time outside. And she's growing up to be such a little person. It is amazing. We've actually had a really good run recently with Layla and trying new food, which sounds really weird. Not so much trying new food, but getting more into certain foods. So we were at a barbecue last weekend, and she just like munched her way through several sausages, which she's not a meat eater. She naturally does not eat a lot of meat. Like, she just doesn't want to try it. So the fact that she tried these sausages was amazing, and then she liked them and just kept coming back for more was incredible. And then on the Sunday we went on a picnic, and she ate a sandwich, which was again amazing. Like, she loves ham. It's like one of the few meats that she will actually eat. She loves ham and she loves cheese. She's not a huge fan of bread, so even though I make her a ham and cheese sandwich, she usually opens it up and just eats the insides and won't really eat the bread. She might have a little nibble. But this day, like, she actually ate the whole sandwich, including the bread, which was great. And I actually gave her a sandwich the next day for lunch, and she ate that too. She didn't eat all of the bread, but she ate more of the bread than she normally would. So progress. And then on Monday, I made Perry and I a pasta bake for dinner, and Layla usually doesn't like pasta with sauce or anything with sauce. She's not a huge fan of sauces, and especially tomato-based sauces. So this was a tomato-based sauce in a pasta bake, and there was also like chicken and stuff in there as well. Again, something she normally wouldn't eat. And she'd already had her dinner by the time we sat down to eat ours, but as she saw us serving up ours, she asked for a plate and wanted to eat as well. So I was like, oh, okay, but there's no plain pasta, like, she's not going to want to eat this. So I actually just grabbed her plate with her leftover dinner in it, which I hadn't quite gotten rid of. There was like a little bit of pasta left on her plate from dinner, and I gave her that, but then she was insistent on trying some of the pasta bake. So we were like, okay, so I put a little bit on her plate, and she just wolfed it down. She could not get it into her mouth fast enough. I think she's finally at the point where she is bored of plain pasta. We finally got there, and she's now ready to try some different flavors. And she just kept eating more off my plate, and so then there was some leftovers that I saved for her, and for the next couple of days after nursery she'd come home and actually ask for pasta bake, and so we'd give her some pasta bake and she'd like munch on it and wolf it down, and she was like happy as anything, including the chicken. She ate all the chicken, so there's that too. So I think we're finally at a point now where she's starting to like be more experimental with her food and be willing to try new things, which is great. It's actually such a relief for me, because it was getting quite stressful with her just eating the same sorts of things again and again, and not really having, she was eating healthy foods, like she wasn't eating unhealthy things all the time. She had a pretty good varied, like good variety in her diet, but it was the same things again and again. So whenever I tried to introduce something new, she just either wouldn't try it, like yeah, she just pretty much wouldn't try it. So so I'm glad that she's starting to branch out a little bit more. So anyway, I feel like that was a little bit of a ramble right at the end there about Layla, but I know you guys are interested, so, and if you're not, you've probably signed off already. Anyway, thank you so much for joining me today. I have a feeling I have forgotten to talk about something that I meant to talk about. I know I was supposed to talk about something else, and now I can't remember what it was, and it's really bugging me. Anyway, I will be back again soon. Thank you so much for joining me. Like I said, I'm doing a series of Tour de Fleece vlogs. I actually don't know if I said that in this video, because I've already filmed my Tour de Fleece video that's going up on Saturday, and I'm struggling to remember what I mentioned when. But I'm going to be doing a Tour de Fleece series of videos. The first one's going to go up on Saturday, which is the first day of Tour de Fleece. And then there will be at least one vlog each week. It's kind of like a weekly Tour de Fleece vlog of like my spinning for that week. And there will be other sort of content going up as well. But that's like the main idea. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. It has been a bit long, it has been a bit rambly, it's been a little bit disjointed, but I hope you enjoyed it nonetheless, and I will see you guys again soon. Take care. Bye.